Hello and welcome back. I'm Pam with Living by Design, and this is a part of our home fall tour. If you haven't seen that, we did make these fun little pumpkins. You can go check that video out. In this video, we're going to talk about the table setting. And how I made these little napkins and the little napkin ring on there out of our old shirts, our old just plaid shirts you can pick up at the thrift store, or you can just pull them out of your closet if you're not wearing them anymore. So the very first thing I did with these is I took the shirt, I just laid it out on the back. And as we said in the other video, if you check the sizes on the shirts, that's really good, because this one was a 3XL, so I got lots of fabric out of it. And I took a napkin that I already had, just placed it on the back, and then just traced around it, and then cut it out. I was able to get 2 out of this 3XL, and even some pumpkins as well as some banners, which are going to be in the other videos. Once I cut it out, you could leave the edges raw if you want. This one I just took the sewing machine, and I just did an easy stitch. I didn't even fold it twice. I just kind of left that raw and just did an easy stitch along the side here. If you don't sew, that's not a problem. You can always use something like this. And this is just a bonding tape, and you just simply put it on, fold it over, iron it, and it's just like you've sewn it. But again, if you don't want to do either one of those, that is perfectly fine. You can always just leave the edge raw. It's kind of fun and rustic that way. So once I had these done, I wanted to make a little ring to go around them and make it more festive. So I took some burlap and I made this little, kind of almost like a little tassel. And it was really simple and easy to do. So I just made a strip. I always have burlap on hand. It's just something I keep all the time. If you don't, you can always pick it up at the craft store, fabric store. With the little strip, once I've done this, then I just go and pull again. And I just continue pulling these out and making this little fringe on the edge like this. You can pull more than one at a time. It does kind of bunch up sometimes and makes it a little harder. And don't worry about this angle, because you can always trim that when you're done if you need to. Like I said, this is more whimsical and fun, not precise. But I continued doing that until I got to about this stage right here. You can see I've probably got about 1 inch left right there. And let me tell you about the length of this so you'll know. So that's about 17, so it's probably about 19 inches, between 19 to 20 inches to kind of get that fullness. So I'm just gonna kind of find my center by folding, and I'm gonna cut it in half like that. And then I'm just gonna roll it. And it's going to start forming my little tassel. And I save all of those little strings I pulled out. My grandson thought we needed to throw them away when he was helping me do it, but I said, no, we got to save those. He goes, no, Grandma, that's yucky. So I let him throw it away, and then when he went back upstairs, I pulled it back out of the trash. So, but I just take a few of these little strings, now that I've got this together like this, and I'm just gonna kind of put it right here in the center, and I'm just gonna wrap. Really simple, no science to it. And then I'm just gonna tie it off. And there we go. And then I'll just cut these off. Okay, so you could see where we have this little piece that I was saying don't worry about. You can always cut off later. If that bothers you and you want it to be more straight, just give him a haircut and that's fine. And then I just kind of fanned it out like this. So that's our little tassel. And then from the shirts, like I said in the other video, I just saved all of the little hems and trims. This one actually came off of the orange shirt that we did. I just cut the ends of it, kind of made them like a little angle cut like that. So I just cut that and then took my napkin, kind of pinched it here in the middle, just kind of went like this. And then I just tied it around, and I kind of tied it kind of on the side here. And I wanted it on the side so you see a little bit of the orange, like that. Okay, kind of sticks out. I think that's kind of fun. Then this piece, I found where I wanted it on the band that I tied around. Once I kind of knew where my pieces stuck out the way I wanted, where it would sit center here, then I knew where to put my little spot of glue. So then I grabbed my glue gun and I just pull this back like that, and I'm going to put a dab of glue there. And then I'm just going to place that back on top of there. Like that, hold it down. So the next thing I did is I just took a leaf and just pulled this off of, it was just like a little strand of leaves, and I just pulled it off and I put a little glue here on the back of it. Like that. And you do have to be careful, the glue will be hot even though it's on the other side, and just kind of press lightly and hold that down. Takes just a few minutes to kind of dry, get set, and then you can kind of just fuss with that a little bit. If you want it to stick out more, you can turn your leaf different directions, whatever you like, and then it's all finished. One of the other things that I did on the table is, like I mentioned, we had the burlap placemats, and I'll show you how I did those and how the burlap ties in with it. But what I did, because I was using a scrapbook piece of paper and then have my burlap underneath, I always like to layer, it just kind of gives it more depth and fun. I took my scrapbook paper so I could kind of see dimension-wise what I wanted this to be. And I did want to have the fringe like this as well. I'm going to leave enough fringe for all sides. I would probably, again, doesn't have to be precise. This is not perfection craft, it's fun craft. I would just go up here, leaving enough space, and just cut straight across. Even though my edges aren't straight, again, that's okay. I'm not worried about that, because after I do all of my little fringes, pulling out the edges like this, and I would probably do about ½ inch of fringe, I can always go back and do that little haircut again and even it all up. See, this is even going a little wider here than it is up here. That's not gonna bother me. I'm just gonna go and trim it till I have it nice and straight and equal the way I want to. And I would just do this all the way around the whole placemat, making my little edges about the same length and fringes all the way around. So after you get the little burlap cut out, this was the paper that I picked out. I just kind of loved the design on there. I even left the bottom edge with the blue because I have a little bit of blue, so I just loved it. So I just left it just like it was, and then did my plate in the center. Now these plates I picked up at the thrift store. I got 2 of them for $1.99. And I just kind of loved the shape, I loved the rim, and I added this little decal, the fox, on there. And I did this with a napkin where I actually just cut it out. This was the actual napkin that it came from. If you haven't decoupaged before, I don't suggest this because it is a little bit difficult because it's so thin. It tears real easy, and that can get very frustrating. I had a few issues with it, even though I've decoupaged a million things. So I kind of learned a lesson with this, that you have to do very gentle, very easy with it. So I would suggest doing paper. I used Mod Podge. You can get Mod Podge at a craft store. You can get it much smaller than this. I'm just always Mod Podging, so that's why I have a big one. You can get it in matte or a gloss finish. I usually do the matte. I just like the way it looks when it's finished rather than having a high sheen. Also, the way you do this, by putting the glue on the back and the front, you'll get a little over on the sides, and the gloss seems to show up more. What I do after it's dried, I give it at least a good 24 hours to dry. Then I'll just take some fingernail polish remover, a little Q-tip, I'll dip it in there, and I'll just real easy go around the edges like this. It kind of just will take off any of the excess glue so you don't kind of see that on there. Obviously, this is not a plate I'm going to eat on. It's just for fun, for decoration. But after I did the plate, then we just brought in our little silverware. I set that there to the side like this. I brought in my little napkin. I actually just kind of placed it on the plate itself. This is just a piece of wood. That's all this, just a little wood block that I cut. I put my little glass on there. These are just like out of like little potpourri. You can also get these at the craft store. Put a little bit in the glass. Got a fun little polka dot straw. It was a little tall, so I cut it off just to kind of be in proportion. And then that was my fun table setting. And I hope that you enjoy making yours. Please post if you do any of these or one of these. Please post, comment, let us know what you're crafting on and what you're doing for the fall. And I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great day.